There was a young lady, and I mean lady with a capital L, picking blackberries one day, and she'd got a nice big basket of blackberries when she noticed right at the top of this blackberry bush another briar with some really grand big juicy blackberries on, and she thought, oh, if I could get those, that would really just finish off my basket really nicely. But they were high, they were almost out of reach, and so she was standing on tiptoe and reaching up there, and her feet suddenly slipped out from under her, and she went flat on the floor, blackberries everywhere, and she lay there cursing and thinking, oh, I wish I hadn't stretched up for those. And then she realised why she'd slipped over. She'd put her foot in some bear dung, and the bears had obviously been feasting on these blackberries too, because it was all full of thick black juice, blackberry juice, and this juice was all up the back of her shoe and on her leg and on the skirt. And so she cursed the bears and cursed their ancestors back into history as far as she could think, which wouldn't normally have mattered, except that the two bears responsible were just round the other side of the bush, sleeping off their feast. And when she fell over, it woke them up, and they heard her curse them, and so they came round the bush and picked her up by the two arms and took her back to the village where the bears live. And they took her before the chief bear to see what punishment he was going to suggest for her. And he said, well, we won't rush into this. Take her into that cave, shut her in that cave until I make up my mind what we're going to do. And so she found herself shut in a cave, in the dark, the big stone rolled across the entrance. And she lay there, sat there, moaning away, oh, stupid me, how did I get myself into this situation? And a little voice came from the corner. If you want to escape from this situation you've got yourself in, do exactly what I say. And when she looked, it was a little mouse down in the corner. And the mouse said, I can get you out of this if you do what I tell you to do. The first thing you've got to do is take off that gold necklace you're wearing and smash it up into little bits. I can't do that, she said. It's a family heirloom. It's worth a fortune. It's been in my family for generations. If you want to escape from this cave and the bears, you've got to do what I tell you, said the mouse. So she took off the necklace and she put it down on a stone and got another stone and smashed it up, and then put the little bits of gold and the gold dust in her pocket. And the mouse told her the rest of the plan, what she had to do. And so she let a bit of time pass, and then she started shouting, hello, bears, anyone there, can you hear me? And when eventually a bear appeared outside and said, what are you going on about? She said, well, I'm shut up in this cave and I need to go and answer a call of nature, and I don't know how long I'm going to be in this cave, so I don't want to do it in here because it might be smelly and horrible. So could you take me off down into the woods and let me go behind a tree? And so the bears had a little grumbling conversation outside, and then they disappeared and it went quiet, and then they came back again and opened the stone, and these three bears took her off down into the woods. And she went behind a tree, scooped out a little hole and crouched down and did what she needed to do. Then she took some gold out of her pocket and sprinkled it on top, covered it up with leaves, and the bears took her back to the cave. Two of the bears took her back to the cave. The third one stayed and had a sniff around and had a look to see what she'd done. There it was. This woman shits gold. Nice little mound of poo with gold on the top of it. This woman shits gold, said the bear. Went back to tell the chief, quick. Oh, right. You won't rush into this, said the chief bear. Keep her locked up in the cave for a while and we'll see whether she can do it more than once. So the next day she did it again. Gold on top, have a look. And so the bears didn't ever get round to killing her like they were intending to. They let her go through this little ritual a few times and decided this woman really did shit gold. So they were going to look after her. And sometimes they let her out of the cave. They got used to her wandering around in the village. And she got quite friendly with some of the other bears, the families, the women bears, and looked after the little baby bears and things like that. And after a week or two, she found that she was able to just go about her life quite normally in the village of the bears, as long as she didn't try and wander away, go too far. And in fact, there was one bear she got very friendly with, a very handsome young male bear, and they became very friendly. And when autumn came and the nights began to get cold, this young bear brought her a beautiful white bearskin to put round her shoulders to keep warm. And by the time winter had come, they were a couple, and next spring she gave birth to two lovely little baby bears. And her little family, her husband bear and the two little baby bears, were very, very happy. Until one morning some bears who'd been out foraging came back to the village and said they'd heard hunters. And she immediately knew that this was her human family out hunting for her. And she knew what would happen. If they found her, they'd rescue her, but they'd kill all the bears there. And so she said the only way to escape is if me and my husband bear and my two little baby bears, if we run away and hide. And so they did. They went as far away, as fast away as they could. But they find somewhere to sleep. They'd sleep in a cave or under a bush or under a hollow tree or something like that. And every morning the hunters were closer and closer, until one morning they woke up and they found the hounds snuffling around just outside the bush where they were hiding. And there was no way they could escape from there. And so she knew that she was safe. Her family would just take her off. She thought she could probably plead for her two baby bears, but she knew there was no way they were going to let her husband bear survive. So she managed to do a deal. They would not harm husband bear until he taught everybody how to do the bear dance. And so this is where the bear dance comes in. It's a lovely dance. Big circle, and we all go round Widdershin's direction, moving around like bears. And as the dance goes on, you finish up stamping your feet, you go down on your hands and knees, you stamp on the floor, you bang on the floor with your hands, you finish up doing sort of Cossack dancing down there. And it's the tune which everyone knows. You might have heard the dance. So on, round and round and round for a long, long time, until everyone knows how to do the dance. And once she knew, everyone knew how to do it, she gave the signal, and the hunters killed husband bear and took her and her baby bears back to their own place. And she lived there with the two baby bears for a while, but they got fed up. They didn't like being around humans, so in the end they went off to join the other bears in the forest. And she found a nice new man, and she married him, and they lived happily ever after and had 2 little baby boys, little human boys in the end as well. They were all equally happy. But she made sure that her new family were all taught how to do the bear dance. And when they grew up and had families of their own, they taught them how to do the bear dance, and so on, until eventually someone taught me how to do the bear dance. And if we actually had the room to do it, I would have taught you how to do it. So it goes all the way back to that woman picking blackberries. And that's the story of the woman who married a bear.